Hi, I'm Richard McPherson. I'm the Chief Instructor at Let's Ride Motorcycle Training, and in this lesson I'm going to show you how to do an emergency stop. Okay, emergency stops. So why might we need to do an emergency stop? Well, these are one of the things hopefully you'll never have to do, but sadly it is something you probably will have to do. And the usual one is maybe a car pulling out of a junction in front of you, but it could be anything which moves really. It could be cyclists, children, animals, you name it. So we need to know how to stop safely, but without losing control of the bike. Now the first thing I'd like to do is just show you the relative stopping power between the front brake and the back brake, and both brakes together. Now if you've watched the video on braking, you'll know which brake is the more powerful, but it's useful just to show you what the difference actually is. So you'll see over there is a traffic cone. I'm going to come down the car park. I'm going to try and get at least 20 miles per hour if I can, ideally about 25 if possible. I'm going to use just the back brake to stop, just the back brake. So let's see how I get on. Now bear in mind, this is only about 20 miles per hour. So imagine the stopping distances when you're going faster than that. So this is going to be 20, back brake only. So more pressure on the back, clutch in. Okay, so that was just the back brake at 20 miles per hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cone down where my front wheel is. Okay, so have a look at that stopping distance. So you've got the big traffic cone, little cone down there. So that was just the back brake at 20 miles per hour. So let's try front brake. Now have a think, how much better is this front brake going to be? How much quicker am I going to stop? Or am I going to take longer to stop? So let's go for 20 miles per hour again. There's 20, throttle off, squeeze. Now, I didn't grab it, did I? I started off gently. So what I did there is I throttled off, then gently, and then squeezed. But when I felt that grip building up, that's when I brought on the real power there. But remember what I said to you when we talked about brakes. If this wheel locks, we're in big trouble. What do we do if it locks? Do that and then back on again. But not that and bang it back on. It's off. And then squeeze it back on. It's very hard to lock up a front wheel when it's dry and the bike is upright like it is here. It's when it's banked over we get problems, or if it's wet that we get problems if we're a little bit too ham-fisted with the front brake there. So have a look at the stopping distances now. So traffic cones where I started braking, 20 miles per hour, front brake, back brake, and look at that. It's cut it in half. Astonishing, isn't it? Just the difference in the stopping power between the brakes when used on their own. But this time I'm going to use front and back. So think, am I going to stop even quicker? Well, I hope your answer is yes to that. The challenge is on. So 20 miles per hour again. Here we go. Let's get it up to 20. There it is. Throttle off, front brake, back brake, and stop. So look at the difference. Not a big difference, is it? So you can see the back brake doesn't have a lot of effect when we're braking hard, because don't forget all the weight is going onto that wheel. That's getting the lion's share of the traction. You're dragging that wheel and there's no weight on it. So I couldn't use a lot of pressure on that back brake, otherwise it would have locked. There is a technique to stop it locking, and that's leave the clutch out. Leave the clutch out. It's very hard for that wheel to lock up. So what I would advise in a real emergency, forget the clutch. Leave it out, let the engine stop that back wheel from locking, because that one will lock up a lot easier than that one, as long as you don't snatch that front brake there. So not a lot of difference, does it? Not a huge difference in stopping distances there, between the front by itself and both brakes together. But it is a difference. So imagine if a car pulls out, and it pulls out here, we've stopped in time, which we wouldn't have done if we just used the front brake. So in an emergency, you use both brakes. So it's throttle off, gently on the front, load the tyre, very gently on the back, squeeze the front as you feel that traction coming in. And then if you can remember the clutch, great, but don't worry about that. It's the least of your worries. You can stall it, it's not a problem. And that's a good way of stopping the back wheel from locking up. And remember, if any wheel locks, be it front or back, release it. So if the back wheel locks, you'll feel it fishtailing, it'll make a screeching noise, just let go. And gently back on. If the front goes, that's a problem. You've got to have cat-like reflexes if that front goes. If you feel it tuck, release and reapply. But don't release and bang it on. You release and squeeze it on. So the auto exactly the same. Throttle off, front brake, back brake. Predominantly front, a little bit of back. I reckon I can get 20. Let's see if I can stop quicker than the 125. Now the machine is lighter, but the brakes aren't quite so good. Okay, I'm not going to hit 20. Okay, so I stopped a lot faster there, but that's because I wasn't anywhere near 20. I was probably around about 15 miles per hour there. So I throttled off, bit of front, bit of back, more front, more front, more front. Let's see if I can get 20 out of this thing. I think it's going to be a bit of a long shot. Okay, flat out. Come on, little scooter. Here we go. There's 15. Come on, let's get up to 20. Nearly there, nearly there, nearly there. Not quite. Yeah, it's a little bit slower than 20. It's about sort of 17-ish. But the procedure was throttle off, front brake, back brake, squeeze, 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 and just remember, same as the manual, be ready to let go of the brake. If one locks, so if the back brake locks up, release. Front brake locks up, release. If you don't know which brake's locked up, release both. But don't bang them back on again. Squeeze it. Okay, that's it for emergency stops.